Alrighty, happy Tuesday. I've had a crazy few days, but we're getting we're just keep on plugging. That's what all we can do. So welcome to all of those of you joining me here today. We'll give it a couple minutes for people to get set, and then we'll get rolling. We're finishing up the frame of the In Suspense 2 project. So we're going to be doing some finishing touches on that, adding some details. And then on Friday, we will start the photo spread album that goes inside. Um, for those of you going to be making that album, I do have the In a Pinch binding. There's a video up for that already. It's been up on YouTube. It's a publicly viewable video for you to learn about this new binding. And then for those of you who have either purchased the pattern or one of the shippable kits for the In Suspense 2 project, the pattern should be, or the supply list and cutting guide should be in your uh, accounts, and there is a video for the construction of the pages and the album and cover, because we will be on the live show. We're just going to be doing some pages inside the album. We won't be actually constructing the album because that's done via excuse me, a video in the underpaid tutorials for those of you who have access to that tutorial. I did, or Joy discovered that the binding chipboard for the back of the album somehow is not on the cutting guide. So I'm going to try to get that up, change that on the cutting guide and get that in your accounts as soon as possible. So the file will be an R file. Once I've got that revision. I've got a little bit of a crazy day going on today. Yesterday, had to take my mother-in-law to the doctor, and since she's in a wheelchair, we were having the memory care place where she lives was going to transport her over to the doctor, but there was some miscommunication over at the home, and they had the time for her appointment off. So my husband had taken time off of work, and it's a 45-minute drive over there. So I'd gone over there, picked him up at work, and went over, and we didn't get the appointment. So we have to do it this afternoon. So we have to, rinse, repeat. So losing a half a day yesterday, now a half a day today is very frustrating. So I'm on kind of a tight schedule today, hence the reason for that little story. So I'm on a little bit of a tight schedule. So if I don't have it done after the show and before I have to leave, I will get it done when I get back. Then this evening I have a note on my desk to make sure that I do that. So yeah, 45 minutes is a long drive for us too, and that's when there's not traffic. If we have traffic, it can be over an hour. If it wasn't so disruptive to her, we'd move her someplace closer. But I think at this point it would be so disruptive to her. So hopefully this goes well at the doctor. I guess she's got some sort of wound or something that we need to have addressed because she's been running a low-grade fever. And unfortunately, this was kind of the beginning of the end for my father-in-law. He got a wound that just never healed, and he ended up going septic, and that's ultimately what did him in. So, and in light of the fact that her sister, my mother-in-law's sister, passed on Sunday, we don't need more hitting right now. So, and I'm not sure what's coming up in terms of when the services will be for Aunt Dorothy's. So if it impacts me on either Friday or Tuesday, I will have to reschedule those classes, but they will be rescheduled. I just don't have information at this point regarding when services and such will be. So it's a tough situation because Aunt Dorothy she was 93, but she was still very much has her very much had all her faculties, very active, still driving. It's the way my mother-in-law was at 93. She's now almost 98. And unfortunately dementia has taken over, but Dorothy was still extremely active, just still, probably given the fact that there four girls and a boy, or there might have been two boys, but large family out of Minnesota. Um, the dad lived to like 104. Um, Mom lived close to 100, and pretty much all the kids have lived into their late 90s. So, it's that strong Swedish Minnesota stock. So, she probably still had 5 or 6 more years. So it's difficult. My big thing is we need to pay attention a little bit more. Unfortunately, our worlds get so distracted these days. And a woman was backing out, had 2 kids in her car, backed out from parking, and unfortunately hit Aunt Dorothy, and she had a head injury with a brain bleed, and they just had chosen to, the family had unanimously chosen to just let nature take its course. But she also had broken ribs, a broken arm, and a fractured pelvis. So she was would not probably have survived surgery. So they just decided to, let's just keep her comfortable. And so she did pass on Sunday morning. So um, it's hard. So now my mother-in-law is the last surviving member of all those kids. So we're just hopeful that things are okay at the doctor today. So anyway, let's go ahead and get rolling. Keep moving forward. My tales of woe, continue as always, with like doctor's appointments and all of that, and how that just seems to. Both of my kids have had a really rough week, so it's as always challenging trying to be creative. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get started in finishing up our project. As I said, I did get all the papering done literally this morning. So it's all, the papering is all done. And so other than I take that back, I didn't get the inside of the album box done, but I do want to get rolling on getting some of the embellishments and that sort of thing completed on there. Um, I also do want to say, if you are a member of Paper Doodles, which is my private Facebook group, which you're welcome to put in a request to join if you're not a member. It is where I post a lot of information about when classes are going to get postponed or canceled. It has been my best way to get out to a large group of people, other than my schedule on my website, what's going on and when. Over the years, I've tried a multitude of things, and it just seems to be the most successful way of getting the information to people. When I've done it on the blog, that doesn't seem to work. So a newsletter is beyond what I have time-wise right now. And it just seems to have been the best option for getting the information out to people. So if you're not a member of Paper Doodles, please feel free to put in a request. Joy handles most of the approval. And the main reason we keep it a private group versus a public group is just to make sure that we're keeping out people who are just wanting to send you advertisements, that sort of thing. It's not that we're exclusive. We're just trying to limit the amount of crap that you get. So, to put it quite bluntly. So, so feel free to put in a request to join that. But I do want to just point out that Christine has put up an amazing uh, in Suspense 2 over on Paper Doodles. She's posted photos of it, and it's incredible. She did a little bit. You can then go, if you go see it, you can see she changed up a lot of the papers from what I use, which is absolutely what I love you all to do. It's still part of the paper, collection, She just switched out which paper, some of the papers she used. So you can get a better idea of what it might look like just with different papers. So thank you, Christine, for posting that. Greatly appreciated. It gives people a different idea what things look like. Joy has posted a link to the Facebook group. It's called Paper Doodles. We called it that because I use the word doodle a lot, not because I doodle, but this thingy doodle kind of thing. So we call it Paper Doodles. We sometimes get people thinking that we're kind of one of these what is the doodling group? Zentangles. We're a Zentangles group or not. Nope. I just have weird things that I say. So, all right, let's go ahead and get rolling on this, and let's have some fun. So let me switch cameras. All right. Let me have a sip of my beverage so that I can not cough with a tickle in my throat from my sinuses and allergy, which seems to be my perpetual issue. One other thing that has come up in the last couple days is one of my old quilted bag patterns was posted on a fabric and quilting Facebook group, and so everybody was I was getting all these emails of people wanting that pattern, so I put that pattern up. I will be doing a video of the construction of that, so if I have any quilters in the group, I only have that one pattern up so far because I just haven't had an opportunity, but I will be putting up more of my bag patterns. My bag patterns are all shippable, but I will be putting up some quilt patterns, and the majority of the quilt patterns will be available downloadable. Those are going to take a little bit more time to do, but because the bag patterns have literal pattern pieces, they're difficult for me to figure out how we can make those downloadable because they're on 11 by 7 sheets, and by the time I try to cut them down to 8.5 by 11 for people to be able to print them, it gets to be a bit of a challenge of how to put that all together. So for the time being on my bag patterns, as I get them up, they will be shippable. But I am going to be doing some YouTube videos of the construction of those because I can kind of do those in my sleep after so many years. But it was like visiting an old friend. This is a pattern from 2003. So, 15 years down the road, and it's still popular. The beauty of it is, even though I haven't been printing it and selling it for the last 10 years, nobody in the quilting world, and this is what I love and miss about the quilting world, nobody's copied it and put it out there as their own. In a heartbeat, I'm sorry to say, in the paper world, that would have been done in an absolute blink of an eye. But I don't know why it's so different in the quilting world that just doesn't happen. Especially since so many of them are the same, crafters are crafters. So I don't understand. It's really strange. But it has been nice that it's kind of like I said, like visiting an old friend with this pattern. It's been my most popular pattern that I've done ever of my quilted bag patterns. I think I want to say there's like 30 bag patterns, different quilted purses, bags, totes. And this pattern has a purse and a tote size in it. And then, oh God, I probably have 100 or so quilt patterns as well, because I did that for 10 years before I started doing the paper stuff. So I'm like going, oh, if people are still interested, I might as well put it up on my website so that people can still access it, because I don't wholesale it to stores anymore. So if you have any people that that are quilters, I'm going to be having some of my bag stuff put up. So anyway, the quilt patterns, I have 2 new categories. When you do the drop down menu, when you go to my website and it says shop and you click on it and it drops a drop down menu, there are 2 new categories, quilt patterns and quilted bag patterns. There's no quilt patterns up yet. And there's just the one quilted bag patterns, but you will be able to find those under those categories in the shop download menu. So that's where you'll be able to find those. So anyway, that was just something weird and strange and out of left field that happened to me this week, but it was a pleasant surprise. Like I said, it was like visiting an old friend, and I fortunately went down into my um, stock of stuff that I still have, and I had like close to 4 dozen of those patterns still available because I used to wholesale my quilt patterns, and so I would ship them to shops all over the country. So when I would do them, I would do I'd print them in 6 or 7, 8 dozen at a time, depending on what pattern it was. So I still had a stock of them, so that was nice. So I didn't have to get those printed. But anyway, all right, back to our project at hand. So here's our ready to embellish frame. Now I've gotten the top papered, but I haven't attached that down. So I like to do that kind of at the very last, just in case there's some things that I still want to put on here and that sort of thing. So so basically, we're at the same point we would be either version, whether you're doing the fairy version or the steampunk version. And this is at the point at which it would, diverge. So let me get the steampunk one down, kind of talk through some of the stuff on that. So as you can see, it's essentially exactly the same at this point. The only thing that you're going to find is different is here I use that Graphic 45 clock die that I did out of a metallic paper, and I did kind of use a little bit of just the Distress Oxide on the inner. See, it's got this outer frame with all the scroll work. It's got the clock part on the inside, and then it's got a shiny circle, and then the little hands. So the clock and the hands, I just took some Distress Oxide into some neutral color. It's not super critical, and just kind of took the shine off of the shininess of the metallic paper. This is the Tim Holtz metallic craft paper. And so I just took the shine off of that inner clock and off of the arms. The rest I left it the shiny. I also did the same thing with excuse me, these dies, as I took some of the Distress Oxide paint and just dabbered. I think on that one I used that kind of aqua color. I think it's Cracked Pistachio. And I used that on here just to give it a bit of a kind of patina type color and to take the shine off. And so then just to the underneath side of the front of the frame, I attached it there, and I attached it to the underneath side of the album basket frame as well. Oh, Candy, that's a cute idea. Candy just said this would be cute to make this as like a cradle and have a baby album in it. That would be super cute. That's your assignment, Candy, is to go ahead and do that and post pictures. So yeah, so your assignment, Candy, should you choose to accept it, though I'm not going to self-destruct. Well, I might self-destruct, actually. So I'm aging myself from Mission Impossible from back in, what, the late 60s, early 70s. So yeah, if you want to do that, Candy, that would be awesome. So I am going to be doing a baby paper soon, because we are going to revisit the baby album that I did from a million years ago. That's one of my anniversary projects that I want to do over this year. So we will be revisiting that, and I have to have that done in time for Pam to get that one made before her first grandchild comes around Thanksgiving. So that's got to be coming up here pretty soon of doing. I want to revisit the baby album. I also want to revisit the wedding album. So anyway, I'm digressing. And then the other embellishment I've added onto here is having the clock face and the wings that I've added up here on the very top. Obviously, if you go look at Christine's, you can add some other embellishments as you choose. She added some cute little flowers on there as well. She added some gears and all sorts of things like that. So, oh, see, perfect. See, I give Candy assignment. She's like, okay, I'll take the assignment. So, cool. So we're looking forward to seeing it. So, but you have to post it so we can see it. So, but I've kept mine relatively simple. If you want to add more, like I said, the gears and all that kind of stuff, absolutely. Part of this die right here has these cute little things right here. They kind of almost look like little butterflies. I haven't had a chance to do it, but I'm planning on it. Was because I'd have to do them one at a time. But I figured on these front faces, I don't have to do it on all faces, but these front faces here, I do want to add those. You can't see it, of course. I put it on the one you can't see. There you go. So I do want to add those onto the top of these columns. So it kind of brings in all of that kind of filigree type stuff on there. So hopefully by next, oops, next class, now it's dropped, and it's like, okay, how do I get to it? By next class, then I can get that, get those put on there, because I think they would look really cute, top and bottom, you know, on there. So anyway, does anybody have any question about some of the details and such on the steampunk version? I kept it relatively simple because the structure itself is already got a little bit of complexity to it, and some of the details we've already added, you know, give it a lot of you know, eye stuff. So but that's where we are with the steampunk, and as I said, you can add additional embellishments to suit what look you want to have. So anyway, if you have any questions, you know, feel free, give me a shout. I'm always happy to answer anything specific you may have. All right, so now on our fairy version, a couple of things that I want to do is in the kits, there are the smaller flowers. I'm saving those to be used for inside the album, but there, excuse me, is a nice big sunflower that I'm going to go ahead and put on the front of this, and there's some sunflower leaves as well. So I'll have to determine whether I want to use both leaves or just one leaf. So we can add that embellishment. Let me turn my light on in my hot glue. It's funny, I've been having to move a few things around in my studio, and I can always tell a project that I used hot glue on it and then never went back and put the glue on it like I always talk about doing. And sometimes I miss getting that done. And I moved the wizard house the other day, and oh no, it wasn't the wizard house. It was the steampunk wall clock. And I moved it, and I realized I hadn't gone back and glued some of those other pieces, the metal pieces and that sort of thing, and they'd just been hot glued on. Well, that's probably been 8 or 9 years, and now some of those pieces have fallen off. So if you've ever had a question about whether hot glue is going to last, it doesn't. Here, let me show you real quick, and so you can see an example of what I'm talking about. I don't know if any of you are going to remember this project. This is a project we did, actually, this was from when Sarah was in the hospital, because I packed kits for this project in the hospital. But here are some of the metal pieces, and this is the hot glue all over the back. Well, the hot glue dries out and loses its stickiness. In fact, I can probably pull it off of the back of here. And so things can fall apart. And So if you've ever had a question, it's like, oh, hot glue will hold on. No, it doesn't. But this is interesting to go back and look at this from so many years ago. I mean, nowadays, like these metal pieces, I would have made them a little bit more aged looking. In fact, I don't even remember exactly where. I'll have to go back and look at pictures because I don't remember where this goes. I know this flower that came off goes over here because I can see where the paint got chipped off. So that's going to go there. I don't know if this went down here. So I'll have to look at pictures as to where things went. Maybe it was on here. I don't know. So it could have been on this thing. But, you know, this is when we still did ring binding. So I had these little cable things that were 7 gypsies, and those were way cool. So, and we used to do these albums so tiny. We'd never do an album this small anymore. So it is, it's interesting to go back and look at some of this. But see, even back then, don't have it completed. I have a few pages, and then it was like, okay, on to the next project. So, all right. So, and that would just slip in back behind. Had the little hanging things with some bolts and stuff. So, and these were dipped. I called them glass flowers. There was a video on doing these, and these were done with ultra thick UD. I don't even know if you can get UD anymore. I've seen it, but I don't know if Ranger still sells it. So anyway, but I'll have to get this all put back together, find out where this little piece goes, because I'm not really sure, because he came off. So I will, but that just goes to show, maybe it goes over here. Or maybe it, no, that wouldn't be, I don't know. I have to go look at pictures, old pictures, to find out just where things go. But yeah, this was my very first steampunk project, the steampunk wall clock. So anyway, all right, but that just shows you, yeah, hot glue doesn't last very long. So even when we use hot glue to put things on in the beginning, you always want to go add glossy accents or regular glue. The feathers are shedding. I think the loose piece went on the album, the lady's chest. I think so too, Joy. Oh, Joy put a working clock on this one. Yeah, hot glue after a couple years, and which is why it's great. I use it all the time to put things on because it's quick and fast when you're assembling it. But you always want to go in and add some additional glue or glossy accents or multimedia type stuff, always to hold those pieces on a more permanent basis. I have many projects that, I use hot glue to put it on, but the glue after a couple years, as I've said for years and 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 years now, the hot glue will start to break down. After a while, it literally dries out and releases. And so you want to make sure you have other glue on there as a backup. I have a ton of albums from swaps that I know people spent hours on back, when I first started back in 2009. That's how I got started. I was doing swaps, and people spent hours on these swaps. And after all these years now, they have literally fallen apart because they use hot glue on them. So you just always want to have a backup glue on there. Yeah, well, and that also depends on your climate. As Joy is saying, Joy says you don't even need a couple years. There are a few months there in Hawaii because of the way her climate is. So if you live someplace that's hot, or you live, especially with hot glue, if you live in desert areas, it's trickier. If you live in Florida, for instance, where it's very hot and humid, glues are totally affected by your climate. So you always want to make sure to kind of test and experiment. What I use here in Seattle may not work as well for like Joy in Seattle or Pam in Boston or something like that. So you always want to make sure that you're using the right adhesive for your client. So I don't know, Joy, it might not be on paper doodles. That was more like likely the ing um, back in that time. So just like I have to answer a text from. Got a lot of stuff going on these days. Anyway, all right. Let's see. The other thing that we have. Is it in here? They're already in here. Okay. Um, we have this cool ribbon in here, but we're using this on the album. And I have some extra that if we needed to, we could use, but that's on the album. So this this leaf ribbon is cool stuff. We're going to use this in the back. We talked about that already. These other ribbons are also going to be for that. Now, Tim Holtz just came out with, I think it was this year, these cool butterfly dragon wing acetate things. He's since changed them. They came out and they were all just plain, and you could color them with alcohol inks or alcohol markers, that sort of thing. But now he's come out with he's re-released them, and there's some colored ones in there. I have the ones that aren't colored, but these are things that little detail things that we can add on. And I have these in there. I'm going to put these on the outside of my frame. You could save them and use them in your album itself. And then I have these nifty lucite. These are vintage lucite beads and such that I have gathered over the years, and they are in these kits. And so we can make some little, we can either attach them, just glue them on, or we can do them so they hang. There's some kind of ones that are more lend themselves to hanging. They're kind of these kind of centerpiece ones. And so I'm probably going to do some of them. These lend themselves to being cute hanging ones. And then the other ones, like these guys, I'll probably glue on. They can attach onto the chicken wire, that sort of thing. You also get some of these seed beads. They're large seed beads, and you'll be getting some little wires. And then you also have covered wires to help for doing some of the hanging stuff. You can make curly cues. We can also do some punch leaves or leaves that are with some of the flowers and that sort of thing. So, but adding some of these kind of things. There's also in the kit is a thing of moss, as always, our favorite. To add some moss, especially on the fairy ones, adding some moss in the nicks and crannies and crevices and stuff gives it more that kind of feel. So okay, it was on Paper Doodles. I think Joy posted it. I know we didn't have Paper Doodles back when I did that, but I think Joy has posted it, once we had Paper Doodles. And yeah, if you do a search, it's called TikTok Clock. Christine did a search. And it is still on Paper Doodles. Yeah, that's true, Christine. Telling your kids once it's on the internet, it never goes away. And that is the honest truth. Most definitely. So, all right. So let's get some of these little flowers made and stuff. And get some of these little beads. These are very variegated beads. So there's in a variety of kind of warm tones. So I think I'll just do. I don't know if 3 is too many. Maybe 3 with the big ones. So if that Yeah, so that you just see the bead hanging down out of there. Maybe do one on the outside too. Yeah, see, so that makes just a cute little dangly flower. Oh, I know what I was doing. I was taking one of these guys. These little bell ones. And then maybe one of the little beads. So they just kind of hang like that. That goes up through there. And these are the tiny little bells. So I did the green ones on there. So then these are orange. So probably just do 2 beads on these littler ones. Yeah, 2 hanging down is enough. And then I'm going to use the little orange bells on this, so like it's just like a continuation of the flower. Got this guy. Let's get his on the back. Now, everybody has the same number of flowers and a diversity of. You may have some variation in the colors and that sort of thing. So you get 4 of these larger ones, and we may do these just putting the beads and such on them. Maybe we'll layer them up. And we won't dangle these, but it kind of gives you a cute little that flower thing. You don't necessarily, we could just go with a bead into the center if you don't want to, you want more variety of flowers and not layering them. Maybe then I'll layer these guys too. I'm not answering the door when I'm doing a show, so I guess I'll just have to wait. So. I can guarantee you Sarah won't answer the door. My kids don't answer doors. So if it's something important, they'll leave it for me. So anyway, that looks cute. Maybe let's see if the more bell-like one, maybe it goes on the back. Maybe I do the flatter one on the inside. The other one on the back. Yeah, I like that better. Look like that. Let me text Sarah so she can see who it is. All right, so got these all layered up together. So let's go ahead and put, of course, always put in too many beads. Sarah's like, I'm stuck in the kitchen. Somebody keeps ringing the doorbell. I'm stuck in the kitchen. It's never, these days it's never anything good. It's always just door-to-door type people, and they're obnoxious. So both of my kids refused. Yeah, my dog barks and it makes dogs around. This used to happen to us all the time. My dogs would bark and the dogs around the world then start barking. So it's so funny. Crafty daughter's like, my dog's bark, your dog's barking, so that makes my dog bark. All right, so I'm gonna then cut these off the wire, pull it nice and snug, and I cut the wire about 3/8 of an inch past, just with some wire snips, and then I take my needle nose pliers or my jewelry pliers, and you just roll. It doesn't have to be a dead perfect jewelry loop. It just needs to be, you just roll it into a tiny little loop. Whoops. There you go. Just a loop. Gives you something that you can hang it by. I know we had like pest control people going around the neighborhood yesterday, and Sarah's like going, don't answer the door today, Mom, when we saw them. So I'm assuming that's probably who it is. Tucker just is going bonkers. So, oh, we also had a lot of fun yesterday, a lot of activity. Tigger keeps bringing home friends that are not invited, and Tigger's our male cat who thinks he's just the greatest hunter in the world. So nice of him to bring in another snake. So we had a snake inside. So Sarah is getting really good at being the snake wrangler, and thank goodness for hockey sticks. So we just use a hockey stick to flip it into a box and then deposit it outside. Well, then we decided, okay, Tigger, you either need to come in or we're closing the door. If you're going to be outside, the door is going to be closed, which thankful we did, because then in the afternoon we go downstairs. I'm doing this with all of these flowers, doing the exact same thing. So we go downstairs later in the afternoon. I'm going to put beads on the backs of these guys too, so it gives some little depth on there. So we go downstairs, and he's out on the deck, and he has a lizard. These are little, what are called northern alligator lizards. So he has a lizard. Well, this lizard has, in the process of being played with, lost his entire tail, which is what they do. It's a survival thing for them. So lost his entire tail. So we get Tigger to drop it, and then we have a hole next to the house by the hose bib, where you hook the hose on, that it's perfect. The cats go down there, raccoons go down there to get under the deck. The cats have gone down there. If they get left outside overnight, that's where they end up going, is underneath the deck, or if it rains, they go under that. So he ran under there to get away from us. Tigger did, because he didn't want to come in. So he ran down into the deck. Well, then we're trying to shoosh this poor little lizard, tailless lizard, which the tail will grow back. But this poor little tailless lizard, we're trying to shoosh him off the deck. And what does the dumb thing do? He literally drops down into this hole. And it's like, okay, well, we tried, dude, but you just dropped into your death. So don't really know the saga now of the lizard, whether he survived once he was down there. But I figure he probably had more nooks and crannies down there to find a way to save himself. So we tried, but it's like, I told Tigger's in the house today. I've told everybody, do not let Tigger out, because Tigger keeps bringing home the friends that aren't invited. So, oh, kids and pets just want to kill ya. All right, so we just keep doing this with all these flowers, and then we'll figure out just where we want to put them. Oh, by the way, Jeannie, you had been talking last time you were here about wanting one of the kits for the fairy version, and I have a fairy version up, full shippable kit. I have both a fairy version and a steampunk version still available. I had somebody go ahead and switch to just the embellishments, so I do have one of each of those available if you were still interested in that, and it is in the store. So again, 3/8-ish or so. It's about right to make the loop. And I have somebody coming on Sunday who's going to be helping me package set stuff up. So getting things packed up to ready to ship out. So Trevor's, I can't call her a girlfriend right now. They're just going through some stuff. Was a girlfriend, probably will still be the girlfriend. It's one of those, it's complicated, as the kids like to say. So she's going to come over and work for me on Sunday, which is also Sarah's birthday. But Sarah's off to, once they reach a certain age, they want to go do their own thing. So Sarah turns 19, if you can believe it. Oh, gosh. 19 on Sunday. Amazing. All right, so I got the little loopy doopy doodles on there. So we got those all made. There's that stuff. Let's get the ribbon and that out of the way. I want to take this, and I do want to grab a paper towel piece. This is kind of bright for my taste, so I'm going to take my good old, what would we do without vintage photo? Kind of give it a little inking on both sides so that it's not quite as bright. Oh, I didn't know that, Joy. Okay, I hope she's okay. It's not like her not to be here, so we're thinking good thoughts about you, Lois. I know. I'm just like going, I can't believe she's 19. I mean, Trevor's 21, if you can believe it. It just seems so weird, that he can like go into a bar and stuff now. I'm like going, ugh. The kid across the street, who's forever locked into my head at about 7, about a month ago, he drove up. I think he's a junior in high school, but he just all of a sudden I saw him drive up to the house, and I'm like going, wait a minute, wait. And then one of the other neighbors down the street, their oldest daughter got married a year or two ago. That was like, oh my goodness, already, kind of thing. But now she's expecting her first child, and I'm like going, wait, Lauren's still that little girl down the street. So I'm just like, oh, I'm feeling ancient these days. It's that thing where in your head, especially kids from the neighborhood and stuff growing up, they're forever kind of locked in your your brain. That's like the Lauren, the girl I was just talking about who's expecting her first baby. Her youngest brother, who will forever be in my head about 3 and named Ben, and he's now about 6 foot tall. I think he is. He's maybe I think he's like a sophomore in high school, but I'm like going, well, wait, Ben, you're not supposed to be this big. And I saw a picture of him because they moved to Vegas about 2 years ago, so I haven't seen him in person. But I'm going, wait a minute, who is that? So it's funny. So all right, so this stuff we had just thought of, we had looked at doing this when we were still working on. Oh, I'm gonna take. This is why I don't always like to hook this on till the very end, the lid and so that I can get this out of the way. We had talked about with this one because I have this little gap that we talked about filling in with moss. But I think what we looked at doing this is I'm gonna put this so it almost looks like a vine. So we're gonna put this on there that way. I'm not ready to be a grandma though yet. You know, my kids are 21 and 19, and it's like, yeah, not just yet. A couple years more, then I'm fine with it. But let's get school and a way to support said grandchildren, and then I'm cool with it. Then I will be absolutely fine. But until they're able to support without my assistance, then yeah. All right, so there's my hot glue. Now, hot glue with fabric is less likely to have release issues, but I still will dab in some dots of glue as well when I put this on. So, and I'm just going to go a little bit at a time to start with. Come on. Of course, as soon as I do that, then it's like I need, there we go. I just need a glue stick in there. Let's get it started. And you don't want to do a lot of stuff back behind. I think this is perfect for back behind. You don't need to do a lot of detail back in here just because it won't show with especially when the album's in there. So you know, don't put a lot of effort into what's going on back behind because it's not going to show. So I folded that one down so that last leaf kind of tucks down a little bit. This guy goes on this side. Okay, gluing left-handed. We'll see how that goes. So I'm just doing this in kind of stretches, and I'm leaving plenty of space so that you can put other glue in there as well. And I'm kind of doing this at an awkward angle because so that you guys can see. So I'm not doing the best job I've ever done. So don't laugh at my gluing right now. Get the glue threads. Now, to remove all the glue threads, you can always just run your heat gun, quick blast on it, and it will get rid of a lot of your. And some of these, I'm going to fold them over so that they, just to give it a little variety, especially up here at the top where they might show a little bit when the album's not in there. And that one didn't. There we go. All right, so that'll work. And then while this is out is when I would probably go with, so I'm not going to glue it in yet because I'm not going to do that. I have to grind this. I have a little tiny food processor that I grind this stuff in, but I would probably go ahead even around these leaves and stuff and down below, and it just gets really messy. But I would go ahead and put the around in all the nooks and crannies and crevices. I'm going to put some of the moss, and I will show that to you probably on Friday when I have that all done. But I want to spend more time on getting the stuff that I'm going to do, the columns, and getting these flowers and such attached on there. But I wanted to get that in the back. So now we can put this back on. Just making sure I had it the right way. But you can see how that just looks like a little vine back behind there. See, my 40th high school reunion was last year. See, but when you have your kids, when you're old, like I was 40. So Trevor was 5 months old when I went to my 20-year high school reunion. So when you do everything a little bit later, yeah, so then you have you're old. So I'm going to be ancient when I have grandchildren. So all right, so I want to cut those leaves apart. I might just chop a little hole in there to make my little stem thingy go through there, because I didn't want it quite that long. Maybe hang it down a little bit. Decide where I want it. I think I like it better on that side. So then I'm going to take some of my covered wire Dealy Whopper doodles. You see, this is how then we can attach. We want these attached like literally on our chicken wire, or I'm also thinking I kind of like them hanging. So maybe like those two hanging and these two hanging down here, or you know, they can hang. But if they hang, I don't know. I kind of like them. I have to play with those a little bit as to what I want to do. I do know I want the hanging ones to hang. And I got those. Those. These also be cute little hanging ones. So there's 6. So I do these 3 and these 3. You know, these can hang from up here. They can hang. I don't know if I want them hang. I was thinking I wanted them hanging off of here, but I don't think I do now. I gotta stand this up so I can get a better perspective of what I want to put on there. You just sit on there for the moment. Little flower. Okay, well, all right, don't. So I just need to kind of look and see what I want these to do. I almost think I kind of want those more just gathered around down here like so. Not the white one, and then I can put some of them, a couple of them up above. I like that better, and then save the hanging ones for hanging. So I'll show you this because you can't see it to get, you know, for that perspective. So do I want all those hanging off of there? You know, because I kind of was thinking rather than having underneath the this guy, so I was kind of thinking along this bottom because we have the die cut on the other. I had been envisioning these guys kind of hanging there, but I'm not real sure I like those hanging off of the bottom there. Let's just try a couple of them. So I'm just gonna, I should use my wire cutters for this. So I can just make a little hook kind of thing on the back of these. Just cut a couple inches long. Make a little hook. Put it through my little loop. Close the little hook up. And a bigger hook up at the top, because then I was thinking it could just kind of hang. You know what? I'm thinking I just want to have these. I'm thinking, okay, I don't necessarily want these hanging after all. I think they want to be just kind of glued into place and not hang. And sometimes what you plan and what comes to pass. I think I like these better just in attaching kind of. I like that a little bit better, just kind of gathered and attached, and I got some more down here. So maybe then up here there's a butterfly. Fold that. I like that. That one's going to go on here. So let's go ahead and attach some of these guys. Attach my little flower. I like these better. I thought they were going to hang. It's not tripping my trigger having them hanging. And that's fine. So we're going to just do it a little differently. Let's do this one down here with these guys. I'm going to put the blue over here and the purple over here. But it at least gives me something on the back here to glue from. But you may decide that you want yours to hang. All these plans, you know, you make plans and then it's like, oh, okay, well, it's not working the way I pictured it. And that happens, and that's totally fine. Let's just glue those in there. Because I have something that I'm doing on the columns. Otherwise, you could also attach them on the columns, but I have something else that I'm doing on the columns, and we're doing that next. So. And again, I'll go back in and throw some more glue on here. But this for the purposes of this, to show you. And I'm going to wait on the ones on the top in case I decide I want to do something different with those. So I'm just going to wait on that. But I wanted to get these ones down here done. So We'll do some squiggly wigglies. I'm going to wait on sunflower because I want to do the stuff that I'm doing on the here on the columns first. But see, I just glued a few of them down there. Nice little, and whoops, there goes the hot glue onto the carpet. Not a good idea. Ooh, now it's really gross. Now it's got cat furs on it. But again, then after I get these glued on, I can put some moss in and around them. I can do some little punched leaves in and around them. I got up to grab something, and what was it that I was going to grab? Don't you hate it when that, oh. Now in the kit, you have this really cool kind of iridescent-y purple. One side's got an iridescent on it. Vellum. It's a vellum. It's kind of heavy vellum. And we're going to use this to add onto our columns to make them kind of look more like flowers. So I'm going to be cutting them in the similar triangles. You know, I thought about, oh, what if we punched and stuff like that? And I'm like going, yeah, no, I think people are going to be happier doing something real simple and easy for this. So, oh, I love these little butterflies. So I got the one butterfly. So I put one of them there on the cage thing. So with this, then I'm going to take, we're going to do just like we did. So we'll mark every inch. So this is the same, essentially the same size triangles. It's 3 inches tall, and we're marking every inch across here. And so then we have a 1/2 inch. So if I come in an inch on this side and a 1/2 inch on this side and mark every inch, then we're making those little triangles. That's just like we did to make the little triangle shaped thingies. So then we can cut these, play connect the dot. There's a crap knife. The other thing that might help with these flowers, if I have some little leaves and stuff with them, so I can take some of these little leaves and put those in there. So I'm going to play a bit with that in terms of those little flowers. You may see it done differently by the time, because I'm trying to get all these different pieces and parts done. So if I change it up, obviously I'll show it to you on Friday when we're working on the album. Because we can't put a lot on the cover of the album because it has to go down through the hole and it sits in the little basket. So you can't have a lot of stuff going on. There's my marking. So there's the 4. So I'm going to save this for the other side, and then I'm going to cut one that's a little bit shorter. So that one's 3 inches, so I'm going to cut a strip that's 2 inches wide, and we're going to do the same sort of thing. I'm going to mark it every inch. So these will be a little bit shorter triangles, but still the same base width. So the one side is offset by 1/2 inch from the other side so that it forms those triangles. So I'm going to cut 4 for this side. Oh, that's that one. That's right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to curl them around like a pencil. I have my little pokey thingy. So curl those so they can do that. Now the vellum's a little bit stiff, so you might have to, kind of really curl it. This could be done just with pattern paper too. You just want it to be double-sided. Okay, I'll do the same thing with the shorter ones. Curl those. Now these will loosen up. They always do. I wonder if they would curl if I used... Well, that works. That works even better using something straight edge, kind of like how you do scissors with ribbon. It might stay curled better that way too. I don't want to use my Tim scissors with that serrated edge, so I'm just using the... Ooh, I like that better with it. One side has sparkle and the other doesn't, so I'm going to flip them around to have the sparkle on the outside. Oh, that's the way to curl them. Duh. All right, 2 seconds. I got to answer something real quick. All right, so we're going to have big ones on top. Which one looks better? That does. So the little one goes underneath the big one. Or if you just do, you can put it on top of the big one. Or maybe these curl. These are anyway going to attach here, like so. And maybe these just go on afterwards a little bit higher. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing here. Okay. Let me attach one on, and then I can tip it down and show you what I'm talking about. tip this down. Okay, so these guys. I'm going to attach right at the bottom. And then this one, we can actually, that little bottom eighth, I'm going to just nip the corners off so that it can go a little bit higher and it's not going to stick out on the sides. Keeping that nice little curl going. So this one I'm attaching about 1/4 of an inch up. Curl this one back up again. So you can see how those are kind of curling out. It kind of makes it look like flower petals on there. Now I have these square to rather, or you can put them on the diagonal, but I put them on their square. Okay, so these are all the long ones. Tighten up my curl. Now that it's curled, it will, I can kind of finger curl it under, make it nice and tight. Okay, Christine stepped away so we can talk about it. I'm kidding. All right, so, and then we can do these at both the top and the bottom is my plan. Well, these are looking exactly the way I pictured them, so that's always nice when it works out. Again, like I said, just that bottom part where the tape is, I'm just nipping the corners off so that I can put it up a little higher and they don't stick out. Okay, so keeping the bottom ones kind of like tightly curled and less curled on these smaller ones works perfectly. Gives them a little separation. This one slips down inside there. Perfect. These are exactly. I love it when it works out the way you want. And then we do the same thing up at the top as well. I gotta stand this up to get this one on. And they don't interfere with the hanging thing, so that's good. Cool. So that's what those look like. So it kind of gives almost a flower-like. So softens these up and makes them look less, on the steampunk they look very kind of deco, but here then it makes them look a little more, gives that kind of that fairy floral type thing. So then we'll do the same thing up at the top. So this same thing up at the top. Let me cut a few of those, and so we can get at least one side done, and then I can do the other. And then I'm also sitting there, as I'm sitting here thinking, I'm thinking with some of these, we can make a little vine. I'm actually thinking these could be little vines that these could hang on, doing some little curly cues things around this part. The part that's just the wood is loop around and have some little curly cues so that these things kind of can hang. And I think that would look kind of cute right around this part. You know, rather than hanging on the other part. I still want to keep these down here. So I think I'll do something else at the top with some of the other flowers. I'm also almost wondering if I don't want to put the sunflower up on the very top, keeping just this down here with the dragonfly. That way it doesn't take away from my album as well. Oh, I just like how this came out. I'm excited. So let me, my head's bouncing around, which is what happens a lot when I'm doing this sort of stuff, is I bounce around from one thing to the next, rather than completing one and then go to the next. It's like I want to do them all at the same time. So. Okay, so there's the shorter ones. Now I need 4 of the longer ones. That way we can have an entire column done. Yeah, Joy, keep me posted on that as you try to reach her today. It is not like her to not even let you know that she's not going to be here today, so I'm a little concerned myself. Okay, so I want the iridescent side out so it's on top when I'm curling these. And see, I'm thinking maybe the other dragonfly goes on there. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're going to do these as vines with these other flowers. I have 3 for each side, so that works out perfect. I was worried I had an odd number, but I don't. So I think that's going to be so cute. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So let me get this on there, and then we can make a vine. And then once I add all the moss and stuff to it later, it's going to be so cute. Well, I'm glad these columns are coming out exactly the way I pictured. That excites me. I'm super happy with that. So then we have the die cut flowers as well, but I'm going to use those on the inside of the album. So those of you getting the kits and the embellishment kits, the die cut Tim Holtz wildflowers, I'm using those inside the album. Though if you have the dies, you know, you could obviously cut some for on here, but I think doing that, and I think having the flower up on the top is the way I want to go with that. You could actually even glue this down so they stay curled, but I don't know. I don't think I want to do that. So sometimes it's just my brain talking my way through what I want to do. So when I make suggestions, it's sometimes just my brain kind of brainstorming. Alright, let's move those out of the way. Lay this down again. Now let's. I wouldn't say it's necessarily more elaborate. It's just got a little bit more stuff on it. Simple still, but just it's just these little extra triangles. So far is the only thing more than the steampunk version had. Because you know how fairies are, they're a little extra. Yeah, I was thinking that too, Marcy, is if I went ahead and curled them and then kind of heated them up and let them cool. It's kind of like hair, it would stay curled. So I may curl them and then just heat set them once. So get them nice and curled the way you want them. Then if you run your heat gun on them a little, it'll hold the curl, just like your hair. And again, the very last thing I do is attach the lid on, just because I want the to be able to get the inner basket. I can take it out that way. I'm also rushing a little bit because I want to get these done. You know, I would probably stop and do them and all that kind of stuff. If I weren't doing this, you know, here on the live show. So I'm pushing it a little bit just so you can see how it all is coming out. So let's just pivot them down in there. I think the other thing I might do is adding a little on here, some little sparkle with some stickles. Because every fairy likes a little bit of sparkle. All right, so there's the one at the top, the one at the bottom. I just think that just softens the look of those columns, makes it look, you know, much more the fairy floral kind of thing. So, and that's what I was aiming for on that, is to give it that kind of look. So, and by having these square, you see the curls. Whereas if I had these set to where, you know, one of these corners was in the front, like I have on the steampunk, you wouldn't be able to see the curls quite as much. So that's what's so cute about having them this way. But they kind of look like lilies or something like that. Yeah, so fun. So let's see if we can pull together a vine now. So I've got 3. So let's go with the bigger hanging one on there first. So thread these on here. I'll just kind of wrap that around up at the top. I'm going to take my top off, just the top of my project, so that that's not in the way while I'm trying to wrap this around. So put the first one up there. I'm going to cut some of this off. I don't think I need it all on there. I'm going to cut about 6 inches off. So start the first one up there. Do a couple wraps around. Then we'll drop the second one off, maybe on this side. Wrap it around. Yeah, that's kind of cute for these. I like it. Okay. Wrap another wrap. Drop that one off. Finish wrapping. Okay, yeah, that works. Those look cute. Kind of adds to it. So then I can cut this off. I'll give myself like 1.5 inches. And then I can twirly whirly it into a little curly Q. Take this piece, make some more curly Qs by wrapping it around up here at the top. And then kind of that palm frond kind of curlies. This one at the top. It looks weird, so I'm going to just take it and straighten it out and just make it a single length one. Actually, it might be easier on these to also curl them. And then attach them. Duh. Okay, so I'm straightening this out because that's going to work around. And then I can hold them in place by giving them a little. And I can glue them then in place. But yeah, see, those look super cute that way. So then I can also glue the flowers so that they stay in the spot. I want to move that around. I think that looks, whoops, there we go. Having those little flowers off the little vines, I think that just totally softens and makes the columns look completely different than I did on the steampunk. And I love those hanging on there. That looks perfect. So then I can kind of, the little curly cues, wherever I decide I want them, I can glue those. If I want to glue the flowers, or I can leave the flowers loose, either way. But yeah, no, I'm very, very happy with how that came out now. So then I got the flowers for the other side. Let's go ahead and set this back down inside. I'm going to take, I think I want this other butterfly on this other side on the hanger thing. And again, these little butterflies and stuff, you can ink them with alcohol inks. Stuck. I just had to let it dry for a second till it could come unstuck. So having the little butterflies on there. I still want something hanging. I have some lace. So I might put some lace underneath here. So, but I gotta find that because it needs to be something that I have that I can put in the kit. So let me go through my stash of goodies and I'll show you on Friday. But I think I'm gonna have some lace hanging down up here and down here the way we do the die cuts on the other version. But at least I got to show you doing the column. This actually comes out looking somewhat like what Christine did with her little flowers, which great minds. So let me put my album down inside. So here on the back of the album, this is where we've used that ribbon that I was showing you, that kind of grassy looking ribbon. Oops. Doesn't have all the stuff inside, so I just have to spread it open a little bit. I don't like it at the top. And I don't mind it at the bottom. I might even be, sorry. I keep forgetting you guys can't see what I'm doing. So anyway, so there's with the album in there. But I'm also thinking this kind of looks cute down on the bottom like that. Or it could even be setting up down here. But I kind of like it down at the bottom of that. And that fills that up. But I want something up here at the top too. So I'll fiddle around with that a little bit, show you on Friday. Because I have some other flowers as well. So kind of decide. Get my other column done so that I can get the full effect. But here you can see how this really softens. You know, when you got the two of them beside each other, it gives that softer look for the fairy version. And then I still like the lace here and here. And I'm thinking he might be cute up here at the top. I think so. I think once I get also the moss on there, the flower will talk to me a little bit more as to exactly where it wants to go. Because I think I like the lace here, and then I'm going to have to do some sort of lace here at the top because I still have that 1/8 of an inch down. So I'll find that, figure that out, and I'll show you then on Friday where those flowers go. The main thing I wanted to show you today was it all papered and showing you what I did with the columns. Does anybody have any questions on that? Because then, like I said, on Friday, we'll start working on the album then. So I'm going to pop this puppy out of there. So then once you have a lot of all this done, then to attach your top, you've got the tabs here. So I'll pull the tape off the tabs, run some glue on this top back edge, run some glue on there. And then just making sure you've got this going on the right way. Remember, it's narrower in the front than the back. Christine knows that one now. It's not super critical if you get it turned around. It's not that outrageous. So, but then it'll be ready to go. But plain and embellished. And then I did a couple extra little flowers, like I said, down here at the bottom. I'm probably going to put a few leaves on there as well, punch a few leaves and put those on so they kind of tie in with that. A little bit of moss on there. It'll be all good to go for the fairies to hang out. So different look, totally different look than the same thing with the, it's done the exact same way with the steampunk version, just a different look for it. So Christine says even if you put it on backwards, it still works. So it's not that significantly different of a dimension. So some of the clutter so you can see what's going on there. And you may decide you don't even want the flowers. And you know what? That's fine too. So. There. Not so cluttered. You can see it better that way. So. Alrighty. Does anybody have any other questions? I have finally got the next one figured out. I'm super duper 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 stoked about it. I don't quite have it far enough along to show you, but I am working on it this week. So hopefully I can show that to you on Friday, the next steampunk one. It is, the steampunk version is more masculine, and the fairy version is more mermaid than fairy, because both of these have, think Nautilus. I'm just going to use just that word. Just think Nautilus. And that is what the next project is, the next steampunk project. I'm still trying to decide, once we do the album, if I'm going to slip something else in between one of the anniversary projects and then do the steampunk, or just exactly. I might get too excited and want to finish the steampunk ones up. So I have to decide what I want to do on that. So, but yeah, so just think Nautilus. So that's your hint for the last project. So. Alrighty, guys. So, as I said, once I know more about funeral services for Aunt Dorothy, I will adjust my schedule if necessary. I kind of suspect that will be on Saturday, so it shouldn't impact me for Friday. But if it does turn out to be that it's either Friday or Tuesday, I will adjust it on my schedule. And also Joy will, as she always does over on Paper Doodles, put the announcement up as well. So, all right, Joy, keep me posted about Lois. It is really odd that she's not here and that she's not responding. So that's got me a little quietly concerned. So, all righty, guys, thank you all so much, as always, for joining me here in my studio. It's been a fun project to work on, and I hope you've been enjoying it as well. One more down. So we just clicking away. As I said, I have Ciara's coming in on Sunday to help me out in terms of getting some of these packaged up so we can get more of them out. So, all right. And I always thank you, Joy, for all your help. And we will see you then on Friday, 5 o'clock on Friday. And we'll be starting on embellishing the album. And we'll be using I don't know if I'm going to do this album or I'm going to do the steampunk album in class. I talked about, since we did the fairy one in class, we might do the steampunk album in class. So, but the papers for both are good to go. For the and this is called the Fairy Lights. Fairy Lights is the paper for the fairy version, and then it is something time. Suspended in time. Suspended in time, I think, is the name of the steampunk version paper. And I think we will, since we've been doing the fairy one in class, I think we'll do the steampunk album, and I'll have some pages done for the fairy version before we finish up the album. I don't know if I'll have it by Friday, but we may before we finish the album. And so I think we're going to we'll do Friday and Tuesday, and we'll see beyond that how much we want to do, or if we want to move on to another project. So, yeah, so we'll work on the steampunk version on Friday. So we will see you then at 5 o'clock. So, and both of the paper collections are good to go and ready to go. I'm probably going to add a few cut aparts, um, and I'm going to try to do that by Friday. You know, as long as I don't sleep, I'm good. So I have something else that I have to have done by Friday as well for something completely different. So let's get it all done. So, all right. Wish me luck at the doctor's appointment this afternoon, and we will see you then on Friday. So, peace out. Have a great week, guys. Love you bunches. Bye for now.